Okay, hi everybody. It is Melanie Pierce, and I am here with a friend I have yet to meet in person. I'm just trying to fix my thing here. Um, Kevin Scott, and I'm going to let you take it from here, Kevin. What I need to know is
All
who
right.
you are, where you work, and what is your bread and butter. So I'm looking for if you your bread and butter is residential resale or commercial or whatever. So
All
how about
right.
take it
You
away?
bet. Kevin Scott with One Real Estate Group. I'm a founding partner with that team located in the Annapolis Valley. I work out of the new Minas office in the Annapolis Valley. And I guess my bread and butter would be residential resale. I am actually currently taking the Investor's Edge course with Royal LePage, so I am interested in expanding my service offerings into that area as well. I have done some commercial transactions, not on a large scale, but want to
Mm.
do some more of those, obviously. So. Yeah, so I've come full circle. I grew up in New Brunswick, came to school in Toronto in 1997, studied a print media course there, and ended up selling. It was in sales and marketing with the fourth largest print media company in North America.
Cool.
And just as we were leading up into COVID, went through a restructuring and decided to take a 15-month package, sold my house on the lake in Uxbridge, and decided to head back east and settled in the Annapolis Valley. It's an area I was introduced to that I really loved, and
Mm.
it checked all the boxes for where I want to be.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
I had some people a few years back that moved out to that area, and that was the first time I had been introduced to it. And they had sent me back some pictures of what they had bought and where they lived, and I was like, "Oh my goodness, where did you find this place? Like this is amazing." So it's beautiful where you are. I should probably keep that on the down low,
It,
right?
it's
And have
so it's
everybody coming your
so it's
way,
so great. Well, I think the secret's
which is
out with the
good too.
Annapolis Valley and Nova Scotia in general since COVID. So I was lucky I got in ahead of the real estate correction, and
Mm,
my
yeah.
9 acre farmhouse property I bought for $155,000, if you can believe it.
Geez,
And then I
right?
gutted the house and renovated it, and it's just amazing. But real estate values have pretty much doubled in the Annapolis Valley since 2019. So
Mhm.
you can't get those great deals anymore, but there's certainly lots of great deals. And if you're
Are you guys still busy? Are you guys
We
still
are
busy?
very busy. We December, January were extreme sellers markets in the valley.
Yeah,
Due to low inventory primarily. A lot of people, with tariff conversation and things with Donald Trump coming into play. Some people are still sitting on their hands, but we had forecasted that early spring market, and we're starting to see that materialize now. So more and more listings coming on, which will certainly help with the
yeah,
inventory
yeah.
concern.
And
Mhm.
it's easy to get wrapped up into that negativity and what have you. I believe that if we're looking at the micro of our lives, it's not as all encompassing. And when you look at the bigger picture, you can kind of scare yourself with it. But I don't know if that's necessary yet. I think, we've always learned that through time, you work through things. You don't just assume it's a total disaster. So we'll see how
That's
that
right.
goes. I mean, we're looking
Yes.
at a relatively good spring market, I think, too. And I believe we'll have a decent spring market. So that's what we can start with, right? That's what we
Yes.
can start with. So, tell me about your kids.
My kids, three kids. My two older kids grew up here in Ontario, and I say here because I'm doing this call from a hotel room. I just, as you know, was at the Chairman's Club conference in the Mastermind Summit in Toronto,
Mhm.
and now I'm here in London, your hometown,
What,
for
what?
a few days to visit my daughter who's attending Western University in second year. So I've got an older
Okay, yeah.
son, 21. I drove here to Ontario to collect him up in May of last year. He wanted to move to Nova Scotia. He worked in my real estate business actually over the summer as my full-time assistant to see if he'd like to get licensed. It wasn't suited for him with his skill set, so he's not going to continue on with real estate. My daughter, 19, who's here at Western, studying psychology. She'll have me laying on a leather sofa in no time,
Yeah.
telling me real estate horror stories.
She'll fix you. She'll fix you in the long run. That's
She'll fix me, yeah. Yeah, hopefully for free, right?
family discount.
Family discount.
Okay.
And then I have my youngest daughter. She's with me in the Annapolis Valley. She's 9 and she's a firecracker, just a ton of fun. She's a dancer. We actually just took a daddy-daughter trip to Mexico, the two of us. Didn't
Ah.
get to see her a lot last summer because real estate was so busy. So I promised her a trip away, and we went to all-inclusive water park. So I rode water slides for a whole week with her, and it was a
I
lot
got a
of fun.
visual. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm thinking it looks a little silly but fun, which
yeah,
is should be fun, right? Like, I mean, if you're going to be with a 9-year-old kid and you're going to be at a water slide park essentially day in and day out, should be silly and fun.
yes,
Right?
absolutely,
Yeah,
for
that's
sure.
awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, um, this is the big question that when I ask it, I usually try to ask ahead of time because it's a hard one. Just because on the cuff, you don't always think of it. But do you have a real estate deal that was fun, good, bad, interesting, crazy? Just tell me about that deal.
I've got a great one. I tell this story all the time. So in the height of the market, not only in Nova Scotia, but in Canada in 2021, a couple had reached out to me from Ontario. Most of my clients in my first full year of real estate were from Ontario. So they had reached out and they were going to relocate. And so we set a plan to do virtual showings. We started down that
Mhm.
path. It was so busy in that time period that I think we wrote 10 offers in 12 days, all for like $150,000 over ask, no conditions, and they kept losing, losing, losing. But as we started going down the path, he reached out to me in a separate call, as we started to develop our relationship, and he said, I want to surprise my partner. I want to buy the house and relocate us without telling her. It's going to be a surprise. And I thought to myself, I'm down, but how are we going to do this? Like,
Yeah.
this makes no sense. How do you
And
keep
is this
that
going to turn out
level
good
of
or bad,
secret,
right?
right? And why
Yeah.
do you have to involve me in it? But anyway, yeah, so what we did is we did virtual showings. They'd identify a property through our collaboration site they wanted to see. We go and tour it virtually. He was the only one going on title, so it worked that way because she didn't have to sign documents. So he would tell her that, yeah, we're going to make an offer on this property, and we'll see how it goes, right? So the truth was that they didn't win any of the properties in competition, so it was easy for him to say that, no, we didn't win, we didn't win, we didn't win. Finally, a property came up. They just absolutely loved it, checked every single box for them. He said, like, let's go after it. So we wrote a bully offer on that property for significantly over ask with no conditions. And the listing agent called me and he said, Kevin, we're going to accept your preemptive offer, but we have to cancel 35 showings for the weekend.
Yes.
And that's a lot for Nova Scotia. That is massive for Nova Scotia. I mean, probably not even close to what it would have been in Ontario, right, in the similar time period. But anyway, they accepted our
Chris is
offer,
angry.
and
Chris is angry though, right? Like I'm
yeah,
sure a lot of agents were pissed, but
yeah.
it is
So
what
then
it
we had the accepted offer. It was pretty much a done deal because there was no conditions and it was cash. So I'm like, well, how do we do this? So he said, I'm going to tell her that we didn't win any of the houses. We're going to relocate to Nova Scotia. We're going to rent an Airbnb for 3 months over the summer while we continue to shop with Kevin. And they came in two separate vehicles with two dogs. He was hauling a big trailer, and I was standing at the top of the hill or the driveway when they came around the corner with keys in my hand, and they drove up to the top. She had this puzzled look on her face. She looks at me with the key. She looks at him. She looks back at me, and then she says, "What the F did you two just do?"
Yep.
I don't think I'm allowed to swear on here, but that was
Oh, you
not
can. Yes,
that's
I
not
think
ex
you can.
yeah, yeah. So
It's
she's like, "What
Radio
the F
Mel.
did you two
So,
just do?" So there we go. And
so
then it
she
was
was happy.
she
That's
was
the
happy,
because it could have
followed
gone either
by
way, right? Could you imagine if
yeah.
she was pissed and going, you
Oh my gosh. Well, that's
know,
what I was worried about. What if she doesn't like it? Anyway, it was tears of joy. I got a great big hug. I never met them in person until that very day, and just in a fantastic story to
that's a
be.
good one. And that's a really
Yeah.
good one for a feel good for that COVID time because that was a lot, right? And we were all
Yes,
working from the moment that we woke up to the moment we were falling asleep with files on our laps kind of
you
thing.
bet. For
And it was
sure.
a lot of stress at that point, I think, you know.
Definitely.
So it is what it is, right? Uh,
Yes.
so we talked about the kids. Do you have a favorite place in on the earth? Say that
If
because you never know, I might be interviewing astronauts later.
Well, the Annapolis Valley, of course, because I moved there and it's I love it. Surrounded by wineries and
Oh, yeah.
ocean views at every turn and farm markets and a great place to raise a family and all that stuff. But I'd have to say my favorite place on earth, I was fortunate enough several years ago to go on safari in Africa. I went to Kenya and flew over 2 weeks to three different bush camps and got to witness the migration, the migration happen in person, and to see all those animals, like
Wow.
millions and millions of animals just traversing across the plains was just phenomenal. And never forget it, and would love to go back actually, but it's so expensive. It was expensive back then, but it's really super expensive now. But I would love to take my whole family one day
Yeah.
and go and do that
It's
before we can't do it anymore, right? I don't know how
a,
much longer you're actually going to be able to do those trips, but
Yeah, yeah, that's true. And that's the response I get from anyone who's been to Africa and did kind of the safari thing, which I'm guessing that's exactly what you do when you are in Africa. I haven't been. But that's been the response. Everybody who's been says, I want to go back. It's the most amazing place in the world. So take that into consideration, guys, when you're planning your trips, right?
yeah.
Um, if you were to have dinner with anyone, dead or alive, who would you like to have dinner with?
That was such a tough question. But I think Kobe Bryant recently was the anniversary of his death, his helicopter crash with his daughter, tragically. I was in um, I was in Florida when that happened. 3 months as I made my transition to the East Coast, and I was a huge Lakers fan growing up, and Magic Johnson and
Mhm.
James Worthy and Michael Cooper and all those guys, and when Kobe came on scene, I remember just like watching him as an 18-year-old come into the NBA and with all this, swagger, but it was his mindset to me. He was just so dedicated and committed, and you couldn't. He always said, like, I'm the best player on this team. I'm the best player in the league at 18 years old, right? Hadn't proven anything.
Yeah.
And sure enough, he turned into all those things, right? And I always thought to myself, how amazing would it have been to sit down with somebody like that who nobody was going to tell him no or prevent an obstacle or a barrier
Mhm.
in front of him to, prevent his success from happening. It's just a phenomenal person in my mind, and great
Interesting.
family man too, like really committed to his daughters and his family.
Yeah.
Really got that. Yeah.
Interesting pick. It's
Yeah.
I find that as being this is one of the questions that really defines and tells me who the person is oftentimes, right? That's
Yeah.
very
Right.
interesting. I can
Yeah.
see that. I can see that. Um what is your favorite pastime, hobby, or sport? And you can pick more than one.
Yeah, and I do have two. So one of them, the one that I do to de-stress and relax. You and I share this passion, I think, is motorcycling. So I do ride a vintage motorcycle around the Annapolis Valley. Often I find
What
it hard
vintage?
or
I
difficult
want to know.
to do big trips
Okay.
because especially in the summer, like when it's motorcycle season, it's also busy real estate season.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but I will often like hop on and if I get home a little bit early in the evening, I'll hop on for an hour or two, take a ride, try and squeeze one in on the weekends.
Hmm.
Occasionally I'll do a day on a weekend with some buddies or some friends like that. But yeah, so that's the big one. I really enjoy doing that. I never wanted to ride a motorcycle on the
Yeah.
400 series
Oh,
highways, the 401 in Ontario, of course. But as soon as I got to the East Coast, it was one of the first things I did. I went and took my
yeah.
motorcycle course and away I went. The second one, I'm an avid workout guy. I'm a 5 a.m. out of bed. Been like that my whole career. And the I guess one of my non-negotiables is my workout time, right? It happens at 5 a.m. before the real estate world gets going.
Okay.
Um, Oftentimes I may have my laptop open and return a couple of emails in between my sets, but I work out at home, so it's easy that way. And I work out before, my daughter gets up so I can get it out of the way. Because if you don't do it, it won't happen, right? It's for
If you
me
don't do it,
anyway.
it won't happen. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's amazing that you can. I usually need something else to commit me to those things.
yeah,
So for you to get up and go, I'm setting my alarm, I work out every morning is amazing. Like I work out with a trainer, and I know that the fact that I have that appointment with him. Um, make sure that it gets done. Otherwise,
that's
it'll
right.
be pushed back, right?
Yeah,
It'll be moved around. So for me, I do work out with a trainer that he's like a renowned, well-known power lifter, which is awesome because I could go down that
nice.
avenue if I wanted to, right? Because
Yeah.
he is an excellent trainer. I'm like just I couldn't say enough about him. But that's what I have to do in order to make sure I show up for that. And I love it, right?
Keep you accountable, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
To be
right.
accountable. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm a kid that way, right? Someone has to put the rule book out. Someone has to say, now you have to show up for this. And I
I
go,
love it. It just, it supercharges me for the day. Like once I get that
"Hmm."
workout in, I can go kick doors down all day long,
Yeah,
right? It's just
yeah. I mean,
something.
in a way, it supports everything else, right? Like if you are feeling down or struggling with something, you already had your workout. You've already achieved something in the morning. It's like the bigger example of the make your bed every morning deal. It just supports everything else you do for the rest of the day and puts you into that really like keep it going, keep it moving kind of um, headset, right? Like
You bet. Mindset for
it
sure.
starts
Yeah.
everything out the way it should, right? Yeah,
Mhm.
for sure. So describe yourself in 3 words.
3 words to
And
describe
3 words.
myself.
And I suspect if I know you at all, and I feel like I do already, you can do 3 words.
I'm gonna go with the 3 Ds: driven, dedicated, and disciplined.
Yeah, I buy
Yeah.
that.
And
I
that's been
buy
my
that.
whole that's been my whole 25 plus year sales career. It's never changed, it's never
Yeah.
wavered.
It's a good way to
Um,
be, you know?
yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, in all honesty, your personality type is extremely well suited for real estate because you do
I think
have to
so.
be a self-starter in this business and
Yeah,
a self-continuer in this business, right? You got to keep it
yeah,
up. Right.
yeah.
Okay. Fantastic.
I'll tell you a quick story. When I started my
Yeah.
sales career, after graduating college at George Brown College in Toronto, I went and did some interviews, and a printing company, 3 printing companies want to hire me in sales. And I decided on one place, and the general manager there said, "We're going to bring you along slow. We're going to start you in each department. You're going to spend 1 week in the 6 departments, and after week 6, we're going to make a plan to to get you off and running." So after a week and a half, he came by my cubicle at that time, and he looked at me and he dropped the Toronto phone book on my desk, and he said, "We think you're ready, and I have your prospect list for you."
It's the whole city in Toronto. Oh my
So,
goodness.
I was so young and naive back then. I'm like, okay, like here we go, right? So I just started out Yellow Pages,
Yeah.
back when we used phone books, right? I'm giving my age away now, but um, I started dialing all these places. In my very first sale, it came, I don't think it was the same day, I think it was the next day.
Hmm.
My very first sale, I never forget it. It was Paintball City off of the 401 and Eglinton area there. I don't
Hmm.
know if it's still there, but Paintball City. I called them up and I said, I'm selling printing, and do you have any printing? And I got an order for 10,000 one-color envelopes. That's what I
Okay.
printed for them. And the whole order, I think it was $1,000. And that was my first sale.
Oh my goodness. I do remember, and this is also dating myself, is my broker had said, about cold calling, all that stuff. And he says, you just got to do it to get over it. And I
Yeah.
remember sitting down and deciding I would do that. And what I did was I aimed at something that wouldn't be as popular as other things. I just figured maybe these people hadn't been, badgered a lot. I'll go after them because I didn't want to have that phone call up, bam.
Yeah.
And semis, I phoned semis on the east side in London, and I got a few listings out of that day. But I had made a goal. It was 100 calls in that day, and that's a lot of calls in one day,
That
in
is a
all
lot of
honesty.
calls. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've
And
done that. I've done 100 calls in a day. And,
yeah,
the fear of rejection is what gets most people, they can't succeed in sales. But I never took it personally. Like I was taught early on, like rejection is not personal. They don't know you. They're not
yeah.
rejecting you personally. Just don't
Yeah,
read your,
it's not about
your
you. It
sales
really
list.
is them just saying no, or it's, at the moment you caught me at a bad time. Whatever it is for them, it's really nothing to do with you. You're right. Yeah. I didn't even get out of my pajamas that day. I just got up, got a coffee.
Nice.
Like it was just like, why get dressed? I'm on the phone. No one's gonna see me. And that did, like after that, I was just like, no problem. I mean, if you need to phone somebody or interact with someone, it was just not an issue. And it was before. So you say it never was for you, which is amazing, which is
Yeah.
amazing. So we did the three. Oh, yeah. Okay. So, I forgot because we were going into your hobbies and sports and we went right from motorcycling to workout. What do you ride?
I ride a vintage 1985 Honda Magna 750. And
Oh,
I am in the process of upgrading my bike. I'm looking at a Harley, probably a Street Glide, I think, because we're doing the East Coast ride this summer. And I was just talking yesterday at the Chairman's Club event to Phil Soper, and Phil is coming down. And Caroline Bale wanted me to say hello to you, by the way.
she's just a little, she's just
Oh, she's a firecracker.
energy bunny. What do they call them? She's just busy. Like
Energizer Bunny,
she's just,
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
she's
she's
great.
awesome.
I
Yeah,
got to
she's
spend a lot
awesome.
of time with her over the last couple days, but yeah, so I'm upgrading my bike, and yeah, I hope to have that in place when we do the ride
Oh,
for
that's awesome.
shelter this summer. Yeah,
Yeah, I was gonna say whenever those old bikes show up, if you like, sometimes can I try your bike? And we'll do a segment with each other's bikes. And I remember doing that with someone, and they had an older bike, and the rattles and the noises, like on the
yeah.
old bikes, are just like, wow, what is that?
Well, I
Like
went
just as long as nothing falls off, we're good to go,
yeah,
right?
this
So
past
fun.
summer. My bike, it's like candy apple red.
Mm-hmm.
And this past fall, we did our Walk a Mile in Our Shoes event for Shelter Foundation in downtown Kentville. And I decided to ride around the downtown block with my high heels on my motorcycle, and it was a great match.
Oh my
Red
goodness.
high
I
heels,
bet.
red
That's awesome. I
motorcycle.
love the color thing. I think that would be I'm sure that your muscle memory has to be boosted on that one because the heels make it just slightly more difficult. right?
It was way easier to ride in them than it was to walk the mile in them. That's really tough.
Yes. Yeah. We know.
Kudos to you guys for wearing them.
Yeah, I
And
know. Yeah,
yeah,
I don't know what that is all about, but you're right. They're hell to walk in. They really are.
yeah,
It's very rare
um,
you get a good shoe that is high and comfortable, but that's my experience, right? So yeah,
yeah.
no, that's very cool. I like that. Oh, do you have a video of that?
I do have a video. It's on my social media, and I'll send it to you.
Oh, yay. I might
You
just share
bet.
that thing.
Yes.
See? Sorry, not sorry. I'll share that. So that'll be awesome. Yeah, so we'll be riding out. I wasn't even sure if Phil was going to make this one or not.
Sounds like he
Some of them
is.
that
Yeah.
are outright fundraisers, and then other ones we just decide to do. So the one, it's a year and a half ago now, we went up to Tuck. That was not necessarily a fundraiser. We did throw up a website if someone wanted to donate, and he came along on that one. That was a good one too. So yeah,
Nice.
I'm excited about, and this will be along the same lines. It'll be
Yeah,
some beautiful roads and beautiful scenery. So, and great rides.
definitely.
Like we have some
And
really big.
food. Don't forget the East Coast seafood. Get some
Oh yeah,
lobster
oh
meal,
yeah.
some oysters.
We are all set up. I believe we're ending. I think, well, we're not ending, but we are making a stop at Connie's got a place out there. Connie Shepherd has a place out there, so I think we're having some lobster out at her place and what have you, or
Nice.
whatever comes our way. And seafood wise, we're all in on it, so it'll be good.
Amazing.
It'll be good.
Good stuff.
So, what nonprofits do you support?
So I support and we support as a team, my team of four. Every member of one real estate group is a donor, commission donor for the RLP Shelter Foundation.
Me too.
So I personally direct my funds to Chrysalis House in Kentville, and Chrysalis House supports women and their children who have experienced domestic abuse. For the last 2 years in a row, I'm very proud of this, and this is one thing I'm going to boast about is that I am the defending champion top donor for the Annapolis Valley for
What?
the RLP Shelter Foundation. So it's something I take serious, and I'm very
Oh,
passionate about it. So every opportunity I get to participate. So a portion of each of my commissions get directed right off the top, right to RLP Shelter Foundation. They in turn find their way to Chrysalis House. We do our walk a mile event, of course, with the red high heels. So that's all the men in the community walking a mile in high heels in support of Chrysalis House. I donated at the national convention in Calgary in the fall to the fur coat campaign.
oh
So did
yes, yes,
a
yes.
$500
Very
donor
questionable coat.
sponsor there. And yeah, just every opportunity I can to support that. Our motorcycle ride in June, I think it's really, really important. We're so blessed and fortunate in this industry to make a good income. I think it's important to give back, and we should definitely all be doing that,
Yeah, I
especially
mean,
within our
yeah.
community, right? Like, why wouldn't you?
Yeah, I mean, that's what real estate's about. We're in the community, we're in your living room. Why wouldn't we support that community as well? And this is just, I really feel strongly about it too. And I think that it's I'm all about it. The women's shelters. I was watching the Westminster Dog Show the other night, and I'm a dog. Sometimes I babysit my friends' dogs. I dog sit, and
Yeah,
so I love dogs. I just can't have one right now. And they said that they're pushing to make sure more women's shelters are animal friendly. So I thought that was awesome because I couldn't imagine being that person who's running from violence and knowing you're leaving your cat or your
yeah,
dog behind. Like
yeah.
what,
It's a
how that
companionship,
just
right?
ripping your
Yes,
family apart. Yeah, it's
yeah,
really bad. So that's awesome. I'm really glad to hear that, and I'm glad I'm going to see you this summer. That's going to be a great time.
it
And
is.
so, final question. Who's your favorite real estate agent in London, Ontario?
Well, that would be Melanie Pierce.
Good for you.
Light it up.
Well done. Yay. He didn't practice, people. He didn't practice. That's awesome. Thank you very much for doing this interview. I
Thank
appreciate
you so
you.
much for
And
to have me.
what's that?
Thank you so much for allowing me to take part. It's been amazing. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. I'm so glad, and I hope you and your daughter have a wonderful evening. We already spoke earlier, and I gave you some restaurant
Yes.
suggestions, so I'll make sure I text some of those to you. She's probably going to have her own anyway. So, but there's some great options here in London for a nice dinner with your daughter. So
You
enjoy that.
bet.
I'll see you in the summer, and
Thank you
thanks so
so
much for
much.
doing
All
this
right,
interview.
Melanie. Bye-bye.